It's the end of the day. You're on the couch, phone in one hand, half watching something you're not really watching. And without even thinking about it, your other hand finds your dog's fur. You're not really petting them. You're just resting your hand there, moving it in slow circles while you scroll. Most people assume this does one thing. It calms your dog down, the same way it calms you down after a long day. Your heart rate drops, you relax, they relax. Same effect, same direction, happening in both of you at the same time. You assumed touching them calms them exactly the way it calms you. But when researchers actually measured what was happening inside your dog's body in that exact moment, it wasn't the same. Not even close. Your body was doing one thing. Theirs was doing something almost the opposite. And the reason why says something about what your touch actually means to them. Here's the first thing they found. In one experiment, researchers brought in 10 dogs, Labrador retrievers, and their owners, and had them do almost exactly what you just did. Sit together, calm, hands on fur, for 3 minutes. Before, during, and after, they drew blood. 3 minutes. That's all it took for oxytocin, the hormone tied to bonding, to closeness, to climb in both the owners and the dogs. But cortisol told a different story. In the owners, it fell and kept falling for the rest of the hour. In the dogs, it went up. Not the same reaction. 2 different ones, running at the same time, from the same 3 minutes of touch. One more thing came out of that same data, and it's worth sitting with for a second. The owners who touched their dogs more often, without being told to, the ones who reached out again and again through the hour, were the same owners whose own oxytocin was running lower to start with, like a body reaching for the thing it's short on. If you're the kind of person who can't sit near your dog for 5 minutes without a hand finding their fur, that's not a habit to feel silly about. That might just be your body doing exactly what it's built to do. This is PetMindLabs, and this is exactly the kind of gap between what people assume and what the data actually shows that we dig into every week. So, did something go wrong? Is your dog secretly stressed by the very thing that's supposed to be comforting them? The researchers checked for that directly. They tracked the dog's stress behaviors during the whole session, how often they shifted position, how restless they were, and they found almost none of it. No pacing, no fidgeting, no signs of a dog trying to get away. So they went looking for another explanation, and what they found was this. A rise in cortisol without stress behavior usually means one thing in animal research: positive arousal, the body gearing up, getting ready for something. Not stress. Anticipation. The type of touch mattered too. When the touch was slow and steady, a calm stroke, the cortisol rise was smaller. When it turned more active, pats, scratches, the kind that starts to feel like the beginning of play, cortisol climbed further. The researchers think that more energetic touch tells your dog's body something's about to happen, almost the same way picking up the leash does. So if you've ever pet your dog calmly for a minute and then had them nose bump your hand, roll over, or straight up demand more, that's not them getting worked up over nothing. That's a body that already decided the good part is coming. There's a second reason for the mismatch, and it has nothing to do with your dog and everything to do with the moment itself. You knew this was going to be a calm few minutes. You decided when it would start. Your dog didn't get that information ahead of time. From where they're sitting, anytime your hand reaches out, it could be a calm minute, or it could turn into play, or the leash, or the door. Their body has learned to stay ready for all of it at once, because you're the one who decides which it's going to be, not them. Before we get to the second part of this, think about the way you touch your dog most, right now, without planning it. Slow and steady, or quick pats? Type the word for it below. One word is enough. Here's the question that comes next, and it's a fair one. Is any of this specific to you? Or would your dog's body react the exact same way to anyone's hand? Researchers tested something close to this. 12 dogs, each one reunited, at different points, with either a person they knew well or a complete stranger. Same room, same amount of time, same setup. And what they found was almost too clean to be a coincidence. When the familiar person walked back in, the dogs initiated physical contact with them more than twice as often as they did with the stranger. Not twice as much affection in general, twice as often choosing, on their own, to close the distance and touch. Same room, same amount of time. The only thing that changed was who was standing there, and what changed with it was whether your dog decided to reach first. One more detail showed up in that same moment, small enough that it's easy to miss. The dogs licked their lips more often greeting the familiar person than they did greeting the stranger. Same reunion, same few seconds, just one more small tell that their body already knew the difference before they'd taken a single step. Both of these studies are small, 10 pairs in the first one, 12 dogs in the second, and the researchers behind both said so themselves, plainly, in their own words. The second study also used dogs that knew a trainer, not an owner, in the way you're an owner. Nobody has run this exact experiment comparing a stranger's touch to your touch on the same dog, with blood drawn both times. That specific side-by-side doesn't exist yet. What exists is two separate pieces, the chemistry and the choosing, pointing in the same direction without quite touching hands. We're not going to pretend that gap isn't there. But here's what does hold up, from both studies, on its own. Your touch is not neutral to them. It's not the same as any hand. Something changes in their body when it's you, and something changes in their choices too. Which hand they walk toward, which person they reach for first. You don't need a lab coat or a stopwatch to have already known some version of this. But it's a different thing to see it written down in someone else's data. To know that on the days you weren't sure you were doing this whole thing right, something in your dog's own bloodstream was already voting for you. So the next time you're on that couch, half paying attention, hand resting on your dog without even thinking about it, know what's actually happening on the other end of your hand. Their oxytocin is rising, same as yours. Their body is doing something a little more complicated than yours is, not because anything is wrong, but because it's paying attention. Because this is you, and not just anyone. Every time you reach for them, you're the one thing their body has been waiting all day to feel. So, tell me, slow strokes or quick pats, one word in the comments. If this is the kind of thing you want explained about your own dog, PetMindLabs does one of these every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. There's one more layer to this we didn't get to today. What happens in your dog's body in the exact second you stop touching them? That one's next.